Are you afraid that the same thing may happen to this dialogue?
I don't think so.
Why?
I don't think so because I believe you have asked critical stakeholders to nominate, the delegates to the conference. And Nigerians are in support of this conference. So if the government of the day decides to play prank with Nigerian people, I think that such a government will be caught in.
What about because we had an earlier comment from Tone who was kind of wondering, how are they going to get 75% consensus? Although Senator said, look, the government is a listening one. If we feel 75 is too high, maybe getting about 300 out of this 492 or 490, they may reduce it to get a consensus of 75.
You see, the purpose that is meant to serve is that build consensus. The decisions that you will reach at the conference will be such that virtually everybody will agree to it. It may be difficult to do that. I mean, it might interest you to know that at one of our strategic sessions in ARG, we also decided that decisions at the conference, and indeed we recommended that decisions at the conference should be arrived at by consensus. What that means is that delegates would behind the scene negotiate, lobby, do us trading. And indeed, if you are patriotic and you want the good for Nigeria, then it shouldn't be difficult to build a consensus. Although there could be challenges. But in any case, if you can't build consensus, then you have to rely on what we call majoritarian rule. Let the majority have their way. And if they decide this is the route to go, then we'll have to live with it because it's just one of the nuances of democracy.
But they have to factor in how they will arrive at the majority with this conference. Because if they say 75%, isn't that what they mean by majority?
Yeah, that's what they mean by majority. But they're saying that let it be by consensus for that is we are not going to vote.
Okay.
We will agree that, okay, parliamentary system of government is the best system of government for Nigeria. Can we adopt it? And once you have consensus, that goes. But once you have disagreements, 492, and some guys are saying, it's presidential, then you go vote.
If you were to be there, and what would have been that one major issue you would love to be given adequate time and discussion?
Decentralization of power in Nigeria. Nigeria, as it is presently constituted, is unwieldy, ungainly, is bunglesome, and is standing in the way of progress. The other time I was here, I referred you to the article written by New York Times regarding how we can provide infrastructures for Nigeria. They mentioned the example of Lagos, that if you have cities who can also replicate what Lagos is doing, then we can say the journey of infrastructural development has begun. And therefore, what they are saying is that the Abuja that is sitting over substantial part of the wealth, the federal government, the federal government is just an abstract. It belongs to nobody. And therefore, it shouldn't be that powerful. In all the federal republics that I know, what they do, having regard to your diversity and the multi-ethnic nature of your society, you need to have a weak center and then allow the federating units, be it regions, be it states, be it provinces, to develop at their own pace. What that does for you is that you have development ensuing from the fringes. Imagine if, as I said in one of my discussions here, you have a local government that is resource controlling, that is tribal based, that has so much money at its disposal. Such a government can do a lot for the rural people. And therefore, if the 774 local government we presently have can do that, then development will come from the fringes and then things can happen. However, the 774 local governments that I've just mentioned were created whimsically. Some guys just decided that. So you have this local government. You need to have representatives of the people to decide What type of system do you want to adopt? How many local governments? What kind of federal government do you want? Look at security. The way to go, in my view, is some decentralization of the policing system. Look at the expensive nature of the presidential system of government we're running. In my view, we have to change that to parliamentary system of government. And a host of other issues that would ensure that we have unity in Nigeria. You don't have a breakup. If some parts of Nigeria don't feel comfortable with an arrangement, then they could become centrifugal. These are issues that I believe the delegates at the conference will look critically into. But at the end of it all, we must be guided by our sense of patriotism. I don't want Nigeria to break, but I don't want Nigeria to continue along this path because it may well lead to disintegration.
All right, thank you for coming on, Bisi Adegbuyi, a legal practitioner. Oh, by the way, that was a comrade. He says he's not doctor, the Wale Balogun.
Oh, Wale Balogun.
I think we missed that.